my night wolves, and welcome back to another video on my channel, and I'm accompanied here with Rin, my kitty. This is Rin, as an R-I-N. He is my kitty, my baby, my son, pretty much. He's my son. And he was named after an anime character. If you're wondering why his name is Rin, it's an anime character's name. He's like, let me go, probably. So that's not why we're here today. Why we're here today. Probably it's in the name of the title. I was somebody's beard or something like that. I don't know what I'm going to title this. So, if you're wondering what is being someone's beard is, it is something that people called it when a gay guy dates a girl, even though they're gay. So they call that girl their beard. So I was somebody's beard. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. I think it was 3 times. Or was it 4? I don't remember. But I think it was 3 times. I have dated 3 guys that were completely gay. And of course, I didn't care that I was somebody else's beard. Everyone asks me sometimes, did it bother you that that guy ended up gay and he dated you? I'm like, no, not really. It sucks that he was gay, though, because I really liked some of the guys that I dated that were gay. And it sucks, and it also sucks because after we broke up, we never really stayed friends afterwards. But yeah, so, the first guy that I dated that was gay, and of course, I was like that girl that like didn't want to believe that the guy was gay. Okay, so I dated this one guy at camp. I used to go camping all the time when I was younger, and I loved it. I love camping. It's the best thing in the world. Anyway, so I was at camp, and there was this guy, and I thought he was so freaking cute, and he was so cute. I envy the person who gets to date him. I envy the guy that gets him. But anyway, so I like this guy, and we met at camp, and I was his beard. He was gay, but of course, it wasn't really a thing where people came out and said that they were gay. Not like now. People hid it, obviously. So the guy, he didn't really use me. That's the wrong word. I don't feel like I was used. I enjoyed the company even though he was gay. And it didn't hurt me at all when it came out that he was gay. Like, it didn't hurt me at all. I enjoyed being with the guy, so I don't see why I would be bothered that he used me. Like, not used me, but was like kind of using me as like a cover up, because he wasn't ready to come out of the closet yet. Like, come on. So I'm just like, whatever. So when it did finally come out that he was gay, I was like very happy for him, and I'm like, well, I'm happy that you finally came out and you can be finally who you want to be, you know? It didn't bother me at all. And then, so I met him at camp, we dated, had a summer fling. So summer ended, he had to go away, which he ended up living actually far away. He didn't live like right down the road. He actually lived quite a distance away. So we tried the long distance thing, it didn't work out, so we ended up breaking up. So when I was dating the guy from camp, my mom and other people tried to tell me, he's gay, he's gay, he's gay. And I'm like, okay, but like, as long as he doesn't tell me that he's, like, I was like kind of denying it, obviously, because I was like, I like this guy, I wanted to be with him. And I'm like, but it's not up to you to tell me that that guy is gay. He has to be the one to be like, hey, I'm gay. Like, I didn't like that the fact that people are like, the guy that you're dating is gay. Well, do you know that? Like, a guy can act feminine and act a certain way and not be gay, you know? So I didn't like the fact that people are like, oh, he's gay. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, if he is, then he is. Don't be like he is and then find out he's really not, you know? So I had like a lot of people telling me that the guy that I was dating at camp was gay. And I was just like ignoring them. I'm like, whatever, if he is, he is. I don't care. So obviously eventually it came out that he was gay, and I was like, cool, there you go. And they're like, and my mom's like, well, I told you he was gay. I'm like, yeah, and that wasn't your freaking, that wasn't for you to say. Like, it really wasn't. Like, I get it, he was, and you could tell, but like, it's not your place to sit there and tell me that somebody is gay when you don't even, like, the person hasn't even come out as that. Like, I just didn't like it, the fact that they were doing that. So anyways, so I broke up with him, and I ended up dating this other guy who was bi. I'm pretty sure he was bi. And he was bi. I don't know. We were really confused with that guy. He was like, "Oh, I'm like into girls," and then suddenly he'll be like into a guy, and then we're like, "Okay, so he's probably bi." But then he was like, "No, now I'm really really into guys, so I'm totally gay." And we're like, "Oh, okay." Then like a few weeks later, he would end up with a girl, and we're just like, okay, what's going on? You said you were gay, and now you're bi. So I dated this guy, and we broke up, and it was a weird breakup situation. Cause I don't know, it was my weirdest breakup. So we broke up, and that's where the whole thing started, where he's like, "Oh, I'm totally gay," or "I'm totally straight," and we're just like, he kept like, he's like, "Gay, straight, gay, straight, gay, straight," and we're like, okay. So we don't. I think he was bi or something, and he was just really confused. So he was trying to figure it out himself. And every time when it came to him telling us what he was, like, we didn't really. I don't know. Like, I don't know how the conversation came up, but I don't know, it was really confusing, and I'm just like, you know what, as long as you're happy, I don't care. So he could have been bi, straight, gay, whatever, I really don't know, I really don't care. But I thought it was very interesting that he kept going like up and down, but I think he was like in that, because we all get into that moment where we're like trying to figure out where we stand is in our sexuality. I knew from a very young age where I stood in my sexuality. I knew I liked girls, but I knew I liked dudes. I like both. I obviously sway towards more guys than I do girls, but I do find girls attractive. So I am pansexual and demisexual, I think it's called. Pansexual is where you don't care the gender of the person, like it could be female, male, or transgender, etc. It doesn't really matter. So that's what I am. I'm pansexual. And demisexual is where I can't do like anything with a person like sexual until like I have a deep connection with a person. So I dated one guy who was gay, and when he came out gay, I'm like, cool, don't really care. And everyone's like, but you two were dating, doesn't that seem a little weird? And I'm like, no, not really. I'm like, he wasn't ready to come out to be himself, and yeah, we dated, but I don't see anything wrong with it. So it's like, whatever. And then I dated another guy who was confused about his sexuality. So after we broke up, we said that we would still be friends, but I don't know. I was friends with all of them on Facebook, and then I guess they decided to drop me as a friend because I don't have them on my Facebook anymore. And I was friends with this guy. I had a huge crush on him, like huge. His name was Jacob, and I couldn't, like, back then, I can spell it now, but back then I couldn't spell Jacob. So when I spelt his name, instead of spelling it Jacob, I spelled it as Jacob or something like that. It was like Jac, something like that. I don't know. But I spelled it bad, and I spelled it wrong. And I remember when I wrote his name out for some reason, and he read it and he started laughing his ass off. He's like, "That's not how you spell my name." I'm like, "Oh." And he was like, I don't know, I forgot how we became friends, but I don't know, he moved into my trailer park. So I used to live in a trailer park before I lived in my apartment complex, and one day I was taking a walk and I saw this guy and his brother and I think his father. But the thing is, I've never seen the father after like that one time when they first moved in. After that, I never saw the dad ever. But anyway, so he moved in, and when I was walking by, I saw them and I waved, and of course they waved back, and I kept on walking. And then I think it was the next day, I walked by and I saw him outside, and I said hi. I introduced myself, and which is not like, I don't really normally do that. Normally I don't like, oh, there's a new person, I want to go over and say hi and introduce myself, you know? I don't really do that. I don't know why I don't, but yeah, I don't really do that. So I guess there was like some kind of like pull, like, you know, when you're first meet someone, you see someone and you're just like, I suddenly want to talk to this person, even though like I don't normally reach out to talk to people. And it's like that kind of like, you're just like minding your own business and you look over and you see a person, suddenly you just get this urge to like be social suddenly, and you're like, I'm gonna go over there and introduce myself to this person because I just had like this feeling like I need to. So it was like that kind of situation. So I was out walking the trailer park. This was way before my transverse myelitis happened. I saw him, Jacob, sitting on his steps, and I was walking, and he was my brother's age. My brother is not that older than me. He's like, right now, he's like in his 20s, almost, I think, slightly closer to his 30s than me. But anyway, so he was around my brother age because he was in the same grade as my brother. So I was walking and I looked over and I saw him, and like I said, I just had like that urge to be social and go over and talk to him. So I walk over and I'm like, hey. And of course, at this time, he didn't know he was gay, so, and I didn't obviously know. Anyway, so I go over there and I'm like, hey, my name is Alicia. I live wherever. And he's like, oh, cool. And we sat there and talked, and I don't know, they had like a really weird thing with their dad. Like, they couldn't have people over. So, like, I don't know, it was just so weird. He was an interesting guy, and his brother was really weird. And I think I ended up in his house one time out of that whole entire friendship. There was days where he could not leave the house, like he physically could not leave the house because his dad would get mad or something. And so I had to stand outside his window and talk to him. Like, one day he's like, I can't come outside to talk to you tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah. So I was taking I don't know why, but I walked a lot in the trailer park. I don't know why. I guess I was bored, so I'm like, I'm gonna go for a walk. So the next day, I'm like, well, he can't come and like come out and talk. So I'm like, well, whatever. I'll still go for a walk. So I was on my way to walk, and I hear, hey, Alicia, and I'm like, he's like, in the window. It's me, Jacob. I'm like, I looked, and he's like got his face outside the window, like he had no screen, so his face was like he was hanging out the window. It's like, I'm like, oh, hey, okay. So I walk over, and he starts laughing, and I'm like, what? And I don't know, and on the days that he couldn't come out, I would stand outside his window talking with him. And when he was allowed outside, he'll sit out on his porch, but he couldn't like leave. Like, we couldn't walk around. I'm like, can't we just go walk? And he's like, no, we can't. And I'm like, how is he gonna know? How is he going to know how's your dad going to know that you're going for a walk? Then let's go for a freaking walk. Like, I had to, like, physically drag him out to go and do stuff. So we would walk around. He's like, well, I gotta make sure I'm back before my dad gets home. I'm like, okay, when does he get home? And we'll make sure we're back before then. But yeah, so Jacob was a really nice friend. I really liked him, like, a lot. Like, I had a crush on him. Like, I had a huge crush on him. And one day, somebody pointed out that he had a crooked nose. I hung out with him for hours and stared at his face forever, and not once did I realize that that man had a crooked nose. And I'm like, oh, it is kind of crooked. I'm like, whatever. I thought it was the cutest thing. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. He has a cute little crooked nose. And then he also had a condition where he couldn't eat a lot of sweets. I don't think he wasn't diabetic, but I can't remember why he couldn't eat sweets. But he couldn't eat a lot of it. So one time on Valentine's Day, because me having a crush on him, and I'm kind of like a gifter kind of thing, especially when I have a thing for someone, I do gifts. I give gifts because I like the person enough to buy them a present. So on Valentine's Day, I was walking around, I'm trying to find him a gift, and I found this cute stuffed animal, and he had a crooked nose. And I'm like, oh my god, that's perfect for him. So I got that and a small box of chocolates because I know he can't eat a lot of sweets. The day of Valentine's Day, I walked to his house. It was around the time he couldn't come out. So I went to his window and I knocked on it because I don't think he knew I went to the door and I knocked on it and he opened the door. I'm like, hey, and he's like, hey, meet me at my window. I'm like, oh, okay. So he shuts the door and I walk to his window and I'm standing there waiting. And he opens the window and he's like, hey. I'm like, hey. And I'm like, so I got you something for Valentine's Day. And I gave him the stuffed animal. And I'm like, he has a cute crooked nose just like you. And like, he knew I had a crush on, like, when I have a crush on someone, you will freaking know because I cannot hide it. Like, there are some times where I have a crush on people and I can hide it very well. And then there's some times where I like someone so much that I act stupid around them. And it's physically, like, if you don't know that I have a crush on you, even though it's so freaking obvious, then I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, it was so obvious, so freaking obvious that I had a crush on him. And he knew because I remember the time when I did tell him that I had a crush on him. But anyway, so I gave him the teddy bear, and then I'm like, I know you don't eat a lot of chocolates, but I got you a small box of chocolates, but you can eat one, and then like wait a few days, and then eat another one, so it doesn't get you sick or whatever. And he's like, oh, thank you. And he didn't get me anything for Valentine's Day, and I'm like, that's totally fine. I don't care. I don't need anything. He felt awful because I gave him a gift, but he didn't get me anything. But I didn't really care because I just, of course, liked him, so I didn't care that he didn't get me anything. He ended up moving out, which I was so sad about. I was so heartbroken because he was like, even though I had a crush on him, he was like my best friends. Like, he was I had one guy friend, and he was one. He was the one. He was the one guy friend I had, and of course I had a crush on him, but still, he was like my one guy friend that I had. All the other friends I had were girls. Like, when it comes to me being in a relationship, I sway towards more guys, but when it comes to friendships, I sway towards more girls. So I have a lot of girlfriends, but I don't have a lot of guy friends. So he was like my one guy friend I had, and of course he ended up moving away and we ended up losing touch. And then eventually we did find each other on Facebook, and now we're no longer friends on Facebook. I think I'm still friends with his brother though, but he never gets on anymore, his brother. I used to talk to him and ask him how his brother is doing, and I think that's how I found out he was gay. Me and Jacob were talking back and forth. He moved away. I had not told him how I felt at all throughout that whole relationship, even though he knew I had a crush on him. So I he moved away, and we found each other on Facebook, and we were sitting there chit-chatting back and forth and messaging each other, telling each other how our lives were going, blah blah blah. And then I'm like, you know, I had a crush on you. He's like, yeah, I knew that you had a crush on me. And I'm like, yeah, so. And he's like, yeah, I'm gay. And I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, there you guys have it. I dated 3 guys, then I was their beard. That's what they call a guy who's gay dating a girl, is their beard, trying to be like, you know, masculine, trying to be like straight when they're really not straight. But yeah, and I really did not care that I was dating guys that were gay. I don't regret dating any of them. So yeah, and I had a crush on a guy who was gay. He didn't like me, obviously, because he was gay. Okay, so the reason why I made this video is because I was watching AmazingPhil. If you don't know who that is, he's a YouTuber, obviously. And they were going over dating things, and they're like most embarrassing dating things or something like that. I got to thinking about the times that I dated guys who were gay, because Phil was talking about how he dated girls while he was gay. Well, he didn't know he was gay. He was like in that like limbo of like trying to figure out his like life and where he sits, if he was gay and stuff like that, but he really was. So when he was talking about it, and I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, I dated guys who were gay. So I'm like, I want to make this video. So here it is. AmazingPhil made me think of this video, and that's why I made this video. I've dated guys that were gay, and I don't have a problem with it. I don't know why people thought I should have a problem with dating a guy who was gay, or I don't know, like I feel like they were expecting me to feel a certain way or something towards it. I don't know. I didn't feel any way towards that. I was just happy to help keep them in the closet until they were ready to come out to be the beautiful butterflies that they were meant to be. I don't know, but yeah, that is the end of this video, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, ring that bell if you want to see more videos from me, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see all you beautiful night wolves in the next video. Goodbye. Don't you know that you're beautiful?